This is an interesting one too, Vince, because I think Stanford's pass defense looks a lot better than it actually is because of just how bad their rush defense has been. It's like teams haven't really needed to throw the ball on them, and
Right.
there's not a lot of great passing teams in the Pac-12, if we're being honest.
That's very true.
It's a conference that's become very much a pass-oriented league, run-oriented league. And so there's not a lot of really good throwing teams. Their secondary is not good. And, like I said, they've like Utah only threw for 140 yards on them. Well, when you run for almost 500 yards, you don't need to throw on somebody.
Right.
Washington only threw for 146 because Washington's pass offense is terrible. So I think when you look at it, those are the things that kind of factor into it to me that say this pass numbers are a little better than their actual talent, in my opinion. And I think when you kind of get down to pass efficiency defense, you see it a little bit more clear. Completion percentage becomes a little bit more clear. Yards per attempt, it becomes a little bit more clear. So those are the numbers I look at. The 30th in yards per game is misleading. It's kind of like you guys talked about the Notre Dame defense yesterday. It's the exact opposite argument. Notre Dame doesn't rank real high in passing yards allowed, partly because of a couple games here and there, but also because teams haven't been able to run the ball effectively on Notre Dame. So
and they're trying to come back, and so a lot of times you do that through the air, not on the ground.
Right, but yards per attempt, yards per completion, passer, defensive passer rating, those numbers Notre Dame ranks in the top 25. And those numbers to me are more indicative of than just total yards because there's all types of factors. So when you look at those numbers, Vince, they're not real strong. Now, they've got some length and some size in the secondary corner. Again, it's the same matchup. They have an overall lack of speed.
Right.
That's the concern. And Cal had the last two opponents have thrown the ball pretty well on them. Oregon State went for 257, completed 76% of their passes. Cal's offense threw for 276, completed 66% of their passes against them. So the last two teams who do throw the ball a little bit more had a decent amount of success. And keep in mind, Cal was coming off of a game against Arizona. They threw for 94 yards, but they have a decent pass attack, and so Chase Garber's solid player, nice player, but he had a lot of success last week.
Yeah, I was going to say the quarterback for Cal was kind of a dual threat. I mean, the kid can run the ball, he can throw the ball. He's just kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. Like that's kind of the thought I got about him.
He's just a nice college quarterback.
Exactly.
Right? Competitive kid. They're better when he's in there, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question. Agreed.
So what they don't have is the weapons that Notre Dame has. And this is, again, why it's important to me that Notre Dame makes sure that their pass offense still becomes a key aspect of what they're trying to do. Because you're still trying to build some of these weapons into a regular part of who you are, right? You're still trying to get Lorenzo Styles going. You're still trying to get Deion Colsey going. I mean, if it was me, I would honestly – that would be something that I would want to have as part of this game plan is let's really make sure that Lorenzo and Braden Lindsey get touches early, assuming Braden plays, and let's make sure that Deion gets work. Not just snaps, but work. And he's got to pass here, pass there. And when he gets the ball, he does some good things.
Right.
I would, especially if you're able to get a big lead and you put Tyler Buckner in the game, I would do some things with him and Deion, take some shots to let Deion get a one-on-one down the field. Let Deion get those opportunities because you could need him in the postseason. I mean, and he's part of your rotation now.
Yep.
What if Kevin Austin goes down? And you're going to need Deion. This would be a great chance to kind of get him going. Same with Lorenzo.
His confidence up. Yeah.
Yeah. I would throw a couple balls to George Takis, just really get your whole repertoire going.
Absolutely.
Because you're really starting to see this Notre Dame offense become a really effective thing. And what I love so much about last week's game plan is twofold. Number one, Jack Cohn did a great job of just reading the defense out and going where the open guy was. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason that works so well, like a lot of times we say, well, quarterback did a great job of spreading the ball around. Well, what I liked so much about last week was that was true, but the game plan was clearly designed to feature different guys at different times, right? There were plays called for Braden Lindsey. There were plays called that were clearly designed with Kevin Austin as the number one read. First play of the game, Your goal on that play is to open up the deep drag to Kevin Austin. That's the route you want.
No question.
And that's the route that came open. There were clearly plays for Michael Mayer. There were clearly plays for Logan Diggs and Kyron Williams and Chris Tyree. And they were clearly designing plays to get the ball to different people. That's what I love so much about it. Because if you know this play caller, hey, I'm going to dial up Michael Mayer this play, but I may dial – it's hard for you as a defensive coordinator to say, okay, who am I focusing on? Okay, I'm going to shut down Kyron Williams and Michael Mayer. Tom Reese is like, that's all good. I got plenty of stuff in my back pocket for Kevin Austin, and Braden Lindsey, and
that's
Lorenzo
what we wanted
Styles.
in the summer. We talked about the fact that, and I realize some guys have gotten hurt, with Davis, et cetera. But they, I think I counted 6 or 7 guys that they could go to that I would be comfortable having them go to, and it's impossible for a defense to take away 6 or 7 different guys. So, but that's what we're finally now seeing. We're finally seeing them get those guys involved. In a very directed situation. You know what I mean? Like it's very pointed and it's very obvious that they're getting everybody involved. And man, I'll be selfish and I'll say that I wish this was being done from the beginning of the season because I think this offense just could have been unbelievable.
And they'll have the whole off season to talk about that. But I know it's getting there now.
Yeah, no,
if
I had to choose, it's definitely this route I would have taken as opposed, having them do it now as opposed to them giving it a shot in the first half and feeling like they didn't do it well enough, and then kind of going into a shell and be like, well, we got to run the ball.
They did.
Yeah, right. Which I'm very happy that it's now, right? That's I'm fine with that.
So that's, you look at this matchup. Notre Dame is not great anywhere when it comes to offensive statistics in the pass game. I think the most misleading stat on there for me so far is sacks, simply because they were so bad in the first half of the year giving up sacks.
Right.
They've been a much better pass protection team the last 5 games, in my opinion.
They have. Now,
they haven't faced any good pass rushers, but that's not changing Saturday. We can worry about that in the postseason, right? But that's not changing Saturday. Stanford's not a real good, and they've never been a great pass rushing team schematically. They've always relied on, back in the early 2010s when they had some really good edge rushers, just individual edge rushers. They don't have those. Gabe Reed is not that. He's a nice, tough, high motor kid. He could give you some problems if you don't play well, or you're not in your technique, you're not locked in, you're not focused, all those kind of things. But it's a situation where you should be able to shut them down. So as long as they can protect Jack Cohn and the game plan is good and diverse and multiple and keep doing the thing, don't just come out and say, hey, we're going to run 4 verts all day because they suck, right? It's the same thing in the pass game, right? Scheme them up like this is vintage Stanford 2012. Right. That's how Tommy Reese needs to look at this Stanford team and treat them like it's the Stanford teams he played against. Yeah. Because when Tommy Reese is at Notre Dame, these Stanford defenses were excellent. And that's what I want to see. Do that, and then if they stink, then you hang 40 on them again in the first half, and you call it a day with your starters. You put your backups in, and you let them run the offense. That's what.
And I think that this team is not very good at penetrating, getting into the backfield, etc. And so I think that opens up all kinds of possibilities, motion wise and action in the backfield, things of that nature, end arounds, all those different things that we've kind of seen some hints of moving, in the past couple of games. I think it opens up a lot of opportunity because they just do not get up the field very quickly as a front.
This is a really unathletic Stanford defense.
Right, exactly.
And we're going to continue to reiterate that.
Yeah.